Welcome to The Pulse, where we delve deep into the issues and ideas that are shaping the future of education. I'm your host, Rick Surrency, Superintendent of the Putnam County School District, and each week we'll be talking to teachers, administrators, and other experts in the field about the latest trends, best practices, and most pressing concerns in education. Whether you're a teacher, a parent, or just someone who cares about education, this podcast is for you. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the pulse. Well, welcome back. This is Rick Surrency, Superintendent of the Putnam County School District, and we were going to have kind of a unique show today. I know I've interviewed each of these three coaches in the past individually, but we're going to take a chance and bring them together and see what happens. And this could be one of the top-rated shows in the past, or it could be a bust. We'll see how it goes. But in all honesty, I'm really pleased to have all three of our high school football coaches here, and just going to talk about this upcoming season and just kind of see where it takes us. So let's start on this end and introduce yourselves, what school you're at, anything you just want to make sure the viewers want to know about you to start off with.
Robert Ripley, head football coach, Crescent City Junior Senior High School.
Good.
We're excited. We might hopefully get to play this week. That's where we're at. So we're excited about that opportunity.
That's right. You had yours canceled last week because of weather. Huh?
Unfortunately.
Wow,
yes.
That's a heck of a way to start the year. So,
yeah.
Coach?
Erik Gibson, Interlachen Jr, Senior High School head football coach. Looking forward to more games this season.
Very good, very good.
And Patrick Turner at Palatka High.
Very good. Thank you all for being here. And I know we've all had our challenges, especially that first game getting canceled. So Robert, tell us what do you look at or look forward to this year in Crescent City?
We return 7 starters on defense, so we're excited about our defensive group and the things that we're going to get to do there. It's easy. It makes going to practice a lot easier to start on page 3 or 4 than having to reteach everything and start from scratch. So we put in a new offense in the spring, so we're excited to see where that's going to lead us. And we play a schedule that's very comparable to who we are, and hopefully we can find a way to win the ones that get you into the playoffs. So.
And y'all are playing, I think, at PK Young this week?
Yes, we are at PK Young in Gainesville, yes.
Very good. Coach, tell us what's going on in Larkin, some of the things you're looking forward to this year.
I'm looking just forward to our guys being able to play and execute the first 2 games. They've been a little rough for us. We haven't executed very well. One game it was defense, one game it was offense. But, hopefully we're getting together and starting to gel a little bit. We've had some injuries early, so that's part of the game.
And that's one thing about football is the biggest thing you can count on is you can't count on anything because things are going to happen. So, Coach Turner, welcome. And I know there's been a lot going on at Palatka High football, but just give me an overview of what the season looks like for you.
Well, we're just trying to have a normal week. Obviously we've had not just a tragic thing happen in our program, but 2 years in a row you go through a very emotional roller coaster, and it becomes almost day to day, not week to week, but just, with the struggle, the recovery, everything that we go through to get back to normalcy. And you don't want to be insensitive to anybody's feelings or the rate at which they recover. But some of our kids are still struggling emotionally and things like that. And football can be the only normal thing right now in their life. So we just try to make that as impactful as possible when we come out to practice. Then you have, practice has its own challenges, whether it be the wet bulb or the 4 o'clock showers in Palatka or whatever it might be. So everything's a struggle, but we just try to make it as normal as possible. And then remember that playing football is a privilege. It's a blessing. Even with me, I'm in year 20, and I still get as excited about going to practice and playing on a Tuesday or Thursday or Friday as I ever did, even when I played. And I think the kids do the exact same thing. At the end of the day, it's still a game, and they enjoy playing it.
Yeah. And I just want to personally thank you, again, the way you've handled that and your leadership, and especially 2 years in a row. And there's got to be always something positive that comes out of that, even though in the face of tragedy, and again, just gelling those kids together, and and that's what life is about. But I'm a former football coach as far back as the 1970s, and things have changed somewhat. I know offenses change, the style of play changes, the uniforms change, and all that. But bottom line is football, and it's really about the game of life and preparing our kids. So there's been some things that we're facing as a district, and I know you mentioned the wet globe. and I don't want to suggest there's any of the tragedy that's happened been attributed to that whatsoever. I'm just saying that heat is a big thing right now, especially in Florida. So just talk to us a little bit about the way you deal with that. And I know we have some procedures we follow, but Coach, what are some things y'all do as far as addressing that?
Well, I don't think it's just that. The game has changed, and it's changed more off the field than it has on the field. Whether blocking, tackling, schemes, those are still the same as they were when you coached or we played or whatever. But the nuances, the security protocols, they trickle down to even football and making sure that you get the guys in the locker room, you get the guys in the gate, you got this door covered, that door covered, whatever it might be. Not having a full-time trainer puts loads on coaches. Now we're not just taking care of the weather app, watching the lightning, making sure that it's out of the area, or the wet bulb, making sure that we're in our ranges and levels that we can be in practice, because there's levels to that. There's a level that says you can't have equipment. There's a level that says you only get to be out there for an hour with no equipment. There's a level that says you can't be out here at all. So you throw that into the mix, and we're wrapping ankles and taping things and things like that. There's a lot more on coaches today and things to worry about. Not to mention the mental side of the game. How kids are feeling emotionally. There's a lot more of that involved in today's games. As with mentoring kids and making sure that they're healthy, not just on the field but off the field. How are they mentally? How's your family? Us in particular, and I'm sure it's a lot the same at these two schools right here. But you don't know if these kids eat when they get to you on Monday. How was their weekend? What have they gone through? They're all struggling. They're all dealing with their own things in life. And so as a football coach, you find yourself wearing a lot more hats than just football coach.
Yeah, and it really is like a family. I mean, people come in with their own, challenges and all that, and you have to bring them together and really carry on. So what are some other challenges? Not necessarily the weather stuff, but any particular challenges you're facing, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like he was touching on, as far as the kids eating and stuff, our biggest thing is some of the kids, they don't eat, they don't hydrate. So one of the biggest things we try to do with our players is make sure they're carrying around a jug of water. That's been mandatory since the start of summer for us. Mm-hmm. I try to go on all 3 lunches and make sure our kids are eating. Because a lot of them will sit there and just not eat. With it being the heat and the stuff they're doing in the weight room and stuff like that, they have to eat. They have to have some kind of protein and stuff like that. So just trying to stay on top of them and making sure they're eating and drinking and hydrating is pretty key for us.
And I know kids probably don't sleep and rest as much as some of this screen time. I'm sure, and I've seen it too with some of my grandkids. I know you can't always control them at home, but getting that adequate rest, I know is an issue too. Robert, what about in Crescent City?
Well, we're in the middle of a new school build, so we not only do we have to do all of the things that they're talking about, but we now have to somehow prep and plan to be 2 steps ahead of the random bathroom break. The ice machine is now on the other side of campus, those types of things. So, hats off to our staff and Coach Ross, who has prepped and done everything we can to get the baseball field ready for practice for us. The dugouts have now become our homes, and our principal was nice enough to get us 2 tents to where we have kind of cool zones, if you know what that is, and understand where, if something's happening, we can get our kids to those as quick as possible. But, right now, Mother Nature is not our friend. They have not been kind to Crescent City here the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and that's a good problem to have, by the way, building a new school. But it is, of course, that's a whole other topic. But they're going to be building and tearing down and that type of thing, and it's going to cause a lot of inconvenience, if you will.
Yes, along with the gate things that we've been, bombarded with this year from the state and those kind of things. So we've had to revamp a lot of our initiatives and where we're headed and how we're going to do things.
So let me throw this out here. One thing that we hear a lot about, especially in college, and now it's trickling down to the high schools, is the whole NIL situation. And again, I don't want to put you on the spot. And for those of you that have just heard that, it's name, image, likeness. And really it talks about athletes actually being able to be compensated for their sponsoring different things. So any of you have any experience with that you'd like to share? Again, I don't want to put you on the spot. And how are you going to address that? So.
Yeah, I think, Eric, go ahead. Y'all got a huge
I just touched the nerve.
NIL deal over there at Interlachen. Go ahead.
We really haven't had any. I mean, the kids see it on social media. They're talking about this guy making this much money and this kid making this much money. But I mean, in our county, I don't see it being a big deal. I mean, maybe in some of the private school sectors and some of the Duval County schools, maybe, but I don't see it being a big deal in Putnam County.
And I know in college, and we see what's happening in college, so everybody has their own opinion about that, but I think it's changed the game of college football probably forever, wouldn't you think?
Well, I'll be honest. For me, I think the NIL has been going on a lot longer. Yeah. It's just changed what it's been called.
Yeah, it has an official title now.
Yeah. And what I mean by that is, our kids have wants. Our kids have needs. And I always try to help a kid out. If a kid wants to cut grass, he wants $20 in his pocket. I try to make some work for him, but he's going to work for it. That may not necessarily be what you would call the NIL or a deal or anything like that. But I think in our community, Palatka, we take care of ourselves, and there's so many restaurants and stores and whatever it might be that take care of us, take care of our kids, and they donate, and they just go out of their way. One that I can think of is 386 Nutrition, and what they do, they take care of our kids. So they give us tickets for our kids to go get a protein shake anytime they just walk in and get a protein shake. And that's not necessarily an NIL deal, but that's just kindness of their heart and going out of their way. And so that's a little shout out for them. But there's so many people in our community that take care of us and our kids that if you're out there and you're listening, I appreciate you and everything you do for our kids.
Yeah. And it really is about bringing our community together and whatever that looks like. And Robert, any comments about NIL or anything about community support?
I mean, definitely community support. I couldn't be happier with the Crescent City community, the Palatka, the Sam Sewell, all of those people that are a part of our deal down there. They take care of us and do anything they can, and I have to give a shout out to Peas and Carrots Catering. If you know who they are, if you know who Miss Beatty is, please give her a call, give her a chance. She has done more team meals than any person I have ever had in 23 years, from our Thursday carb day to our Friday day of game meal. She's been awesome for us and our kids.
Well, that's great. And it's really, Putnam County is really a neat place to live, work, and play, and to coach football too, And I heard somebody that came in I interviewed somebody yesterday. I had a meeting with someone who came into Putnam County, moved here, and they said, you know what, one thing about Putnam County, these people are nice. They really go out of their way to try to make you feel at home. Not saying anything bad about any other county, but that just made me feel good about our county. So let me ask you guys this, kind of in wrapping up. What do you see? How do you see the game of football, high school football, maybe evolving over the next few years? And whether that's positive or negative, but what do you see it turning into? I mean, we've seen some huge changes in the last year or so, with some of the mandates and all, but what do you see happening maybe in your own area or just high school football in general? Anything come to mind?
Well, I think, if you follow the NFL and you follow college football, it's kind of the trickle-down effect. And what you're seeing is the skull caps, the guardian caps, the bubbles that are going on helmets are now allowed in NFL games. It's only a matter of time before that becomes something that the colleges are going to look at and take care of, and then it's going to come down to us. I call it the 5 to 10 year swing. Anything that they do at the top level then gets evaluated by the colleges and comes to us. So the National Federation of High Schools, they sit down and they try to find the best things or the newest things for us. The other piece of the puzzle is the helmets are getting better every year, but they're getting more expensive. So
yeah.
Those pieces to where that makes our jobs harder. We have to make a decision on what's the best helmet for our kids, what's the best thing for our finances, and when we put the onus on fundraising, there's usually some kickback and some people that don't want to put that time and effort in, but they don't really understand that this is not we're not doing this because we want your money. We're doing this because this is what's best for our kids.
Yeah, and football's it's a big business too. I mean,
100%
generates a lot of funds for the other sports and all, but the costs, helmets, I know, are extremely expensive, and and they have to be the best, and they're not cheap, and it takes a lot of the funds to generate that. What are some other points of view as far as the way the game might be changing? And you may not be right or might be wrong or whatever, but just kind of your thoughts about what the future looks like.
I'll go ahead. I don't know that it will necessarily change. I think football is football. Slowly it evolves, whether that be, new formations or, quirky plays, whatever it might be. But some of the things are just going to stay the same. And it's still it's a tough game played by tough people. And you got to be tough. And even with all the nuances or new pads or new gear or new helmets, Some of that is intrinsic. It's got to come from inside, and you got to take tough coaching. You got to be a tough kid. You got to be coachable on and off the field. Academics have to be taken care of. So, those things aren't going away. Those things aren't changing. And those that can do that, usually the cream rises to the top and they become, some of your better players and things like that. And the ones who don't think it's important, then they're going to go to the wayside. And it's hard to see, but sometimes you've got to part ways with those that don't, conform to either academics or what you expect of them on the field, tardiness, things like that. You've got to hold expectations and accountability. And those things right there have never changed from when I played to when they play now, and how you run a program and things like that. And I know these guys right here do the same thing. We're teaching kids life lessons that sometimes they're not getting at home, and they don't want to hear that, but that's the truth of the matter, and they're not going to get it anywhere else if they don't get it from us.
Well said. Coach, what about you?
I mean, I like you said, I don't think a lot of things are going to change. There's going to be some rules here and there, like the kickoff rule that, the college and NFL is going to. That's probably going to trickle down, like he said, in the next 3 to 5 years. But I don't see a lot of it changing. It's going to be football, and like he said, it's going to be physical. It's going to be, kids are going to have to play hard. They're going to have to sweat. The heat's still going to be an issue. We live in Florida, so that's always going to be a thing. But I think for the most part, it's all going to stay the same. Little here and there changes, but not much.
Well, Patrick just said something that really struck a nerve with me too. That we got to remember these are student athletes, and the whole idea behind football is to make them better students as well. And we got to focus on the academics. And if the students are out there listening, just understand that academics is always first, and if you don't take care of that business first, you don't get the privilege to play football unless you do those other things right. And eventually, not all of our students are not going to, or all of our players are not going to be in the NFL or even play college. But if it can make you a better person, a better student, then it's served its purpose. And I think there's a lot of lessons there that our students are going to take away from that. So I just want to thank you all for being here. I know there's a lot going on, especially this time of year. Y'all are going to be out on the field today or prepping for tomorrow night's game. So, and this was kind of a cool way to bring you all together instead of doing it separate. And I think we got away without anybody fighting or saying anything bad. I say that jokingly, but you are 3 great role models for our kids, and I just can't thank you enough for being here. And any final words before we finish? Anything I didn't ask you want to make sure you tell everybody? Patrick, I can see it on your face. You gotta.
No, I appreciate these guys, and we do. We joke off the field, and we're friends, and I do appreciate them and what they do. But go Panthers.
There you go. Well said. Coach, anything?
No, just, we have a home game this Friday, so I hope everybody comes out and supports the Rams.
Yeah. I've got a granddaughter, one of your cheerleaders, so you might see me out there too.
Not a word.
Robert, final words?
We don't open at home until next week, and we'll invite our county friends over for a little get down. So
there you go.
If you ain't got nothing going on next week, we'd like to see you at Wiltshire Stadium.
Yeah, maybe I can run the chains or something on the sideline.
You better get in line. The skeletons are there. They're there.
Thank you guys for being here, and hopefully everybody get a chance to watch this maybe before the next game or so, and look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.